Milblogger. For the latest news and conflicts around the world, shaping your reality.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Coast Milblogger. I'm your host, Cyrus Emerson. From A to Z is excited to announce the second edition of Red Roses should be completed soon for paperback distribution on Amazon to go along with the audiobook now available on Spotify and about 50 other audio distribution sites. There were only 50 first edition paperbacks ever printed. They were made with hemp paper and distributed along the West Coast ahead of a 2018 Grammy run for the audiobook format. However, there was an edit done between hemp paperback and audiobook recording. Now, for the first time ever, the two formats are going to be whisper synced unless music and sound effects prevent it. Unfortunately, paper made from forest lands must be used. Now for more on turning the tide in Kursk, fight for the next generation, and other global conflicts.
Turning the tide in Kursk.
Tell us how the battle in Russia has changed the tide of war in Ukraine as winter approaches. If you don't remember history, you're doomed to repeat it. To paraphrase George Santayana, history teaches of two historical invasions of Russia, first by the French and more recently by the Germans. Now Ukraine adds its name to this list. War map analysis reveals a different strategy being implemented in this new attack on Russian soil. First, they're not claiming the land. Ukraine's already pledged to give it back at the end of the war. Second, they're not trying to capture Moscow. The Russian strategy all along against NATO: lure a deep invasion to attack over extended supply lines with nuclear weapons. It's not going to work. Instead, Ukraine has taken advantage of its geography bordering Russia to claim defensible space on the other side of the border to allow artillery, drones, and fighter jets easy access to existing Russian logistics as winter approaches. Expect heavy winter snow to isolate frontline troops from decision-makers in Moscow. State-run television sees the threat of a deteriorating military force that would normally be in retreat before a Russian winter, now on the offensive, leaving nothing between, aside from small towns that haven't been burned to the ground yet. Kremlin plans to carpet bomb their own civilians are in the planning stages. It could be the final red line proving the side in violation of history.
Fight for the next generation.
Now that the war in Ukraine has become the new generational war, explain the next generations of the opposing sides. Technological advancements during wars have been proven throughout history. Just remember Oppenheimer. Now the future of human civilization hinges on the war in Ukraine. Russia thought it had the advantage when hoping to capture Ukraine in 3 days. This after the spectacle in Afghanistan left the US looking weak on the world stage. Yet the Taliban are a creation of the American CIA. America didn't lose in Afghanistan, it won. Our military leadership, now connected at the hip with some of the most lethal local forces in the deepest backwoods of the globe. This faulty intelligence on behalf of the Kremlin also exposed its invasion war plans. So when an airfield needed to be captured east of Kiev to supply the large column of armor rolling down the highway, the attack was repelled. This caused a loss comparable to Rome losing a legion in Germany. The best troops and equipment the Russians had went up in smoke along a highway to hell in the first months of this war. Now drones lead attacks as Ukrainians get married on cell phones from anywhere in the world. Space troops meant to fight in another dimension are now sent by the Kremlin to defend Kursk Oblast, alongside conscripts serving a term required for school-age boys. This depletion of manpower erodes a grip on the future, as those who survive the mass casualty event must mourn their passing if they are to create healthy ideas in a prosperous, sustainable civilization.
Other global conflicts.
Share other heated arguments taking place on Earth right now, and how the mission of this writing helps play a role in the development of future perspective. Trump keeps the faithful when sticking to the script of the Republican mandate being pushed for Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, Harris, having peaked at the Democrat National Convention, now falters. What's been made plain again is the lack of representation of hemp and marijuana on the national political scene. It's been left to the states in a way people on both sides of the aisle seem to agree works. Meanwhile, abortion becomes debated in a federal way, because letting states decide on this issue isn't good enough. Remember, we're pushing reclassification of hemp and marijuana to Schedule 3 for the sake of solving climate change and aiding in space exploration. In the end, it's Palestinian representatives who were dissed that were then embraced during Harris's acceptance speech. Today, Hezbollah attacks Israel as fears mount of a sustained Middle East war. America continues to help Israel with expensive advanced weapon systems while giving humanitarian aid to Palestinians. Now to Taiwan, where the island democracy braces for an invasion that's been rehearsed several times. China seems satisfied with a psychological fight to weaken the small nation into acceptance of its true master. Yet Taiwan finds strength in neighboring states, who also feel pressure from a strong Chinese economic expansion into ocean economies. While support for the hemp and marijuana industry doesn't help in the Middle East much, since the situation there is helpless, it can play a role in national security in the Pacific theater. With a strong hemp and marijuana industry, America can protect itself through free market initiatives against a growing Chinese influence on the hemp and marijuana black market in North America, as well as the purchase of farmland by CCP representatives.
This week's Craigslist buy is a Craigslist sold. This attractive galvanized coppery water can, seen on formats where available, has been sold for $3, and delivery is being made from an A to Z representative. This is a reminder to jump on deals shown here before they're gone. We hope you enjoyed this episode of West Coast Milblogger. Remember to subscribe, like, and share on the many platforms the show is now available on. Keep it safe out there. We're taking next week off to celebrate the holiday. Talk to you again September 8th.